Every year we hear about the next big thing, something that's supposed to take the gun world by storm. Whether it's a pistol that's been done 100 times over, now comes in single stack, or whether it's a new key mod or whatever mod system that you can connect stuff to your AR-15. Now it's shaped like a goose egg or figure eights or something like that, some kind of new configuration. It's always something new, and it's supposed to be a game changer. Rarely is it ever a game changer. We think we found something that might be a little bit of a game changer. The Kimber K6s. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's been done before. In fact, it looks remarkably like a Ruger SP101. But this thing is done better. They've tried to take the Kimber quality, and I know Kimber has taken a little bit of a back step, maybe for production reasons, and quality over the years with their 1911s. But they have been known overall in the general past to have a pretty good name as far as quality control and products leaving their doorstep, if you will. They're in pretty good condition, working condition. But Kimber's delving into the revolver market is pretty substantial in terms of, hey, they're 1911 guys. Now they're making a pretty revolver, as they've been known for making a pretty 1911. I think you're going to enjoy this.
As stated earlier, the Kimber K6s is remarkably similar to the Ruger SP101 in overall looks, frame design, even the way the gun feels in your hand. You'll notice the overall width of the guns is very similar as well. The Ruger comes in at 1.35 inches in overall width, while the Kimber comes in at 1.39 inches overall width. Let's remember that we're also packing an extra round in this Kimber. We've got 6 rounds in the cylinder of the Kimber versus 5 in the Ruger. This makes for that .04 extra width of the Kimber pretty darn acceptable when you consider you're carrying an extra round. A close-up look of the Kimber's cylinder will show you that the K6s is remarkably thin as far as the walls. There are no big bulky round flutes around the outside of the cylinder. Every bit of metal that is not necessary has been milled off. You can see how thin this thing is, but strong in return because it is all stainless. The payoff to that process? Well, the Ruger SP101 weighs in at 26 ounces empty. Remember, this is the weapon that only holds 5 rounds whenever it's loaded, whereas the Kimber K6s empty weighs in at 23 ounces, 3 ounces less than the Ruger, but it's built to hold 1 more round. These guys engineered this thing right. I also like the way they focused on some of the minute details to make this thing a really good concealable firearm, like dehorning at 45 degrees. Pretty much every edge has been taken down to about 45 degrees. You'll also notice this thing does not have a hammer, another thing that's going to prevent any kind of snagging when you go to draw your weapon from your holster from a concealed location. The rubber grip, it's made by Crimson Trace. Not only does this thing give you really good grip, but this particular one doesn't even have a laser in it, which tells me the fact that it's being made by Crimson Trace, there will be one in the future that has a laser in it for this particular firearm. That's going to be a pretty cool feature for those that like that. The match grade trigger on this K6s, what can I say about this thing? It is amazingly smooth. This trigger breaks just under 10 pounds, double action only. Very nice as far as concealable goes to have that double action only. It's got a very deliberate reset. You notice the cylinder rotation can very easily be timed. This is going to allow for shots to be staged perfectly, which is going to improve a little bit as far as accuracy, but also lend itself to the shooter being confident and having that trigger engage at the right time. So now it was time to take this pretty little K6s out to the range and see what it could do in live fire situations. I really couldn't help but notice the coolness of being able to pack 6 rounds of .357 Magnum power into this very small concealable revolver. That's something that it seems like I may overstate it a little bit, but that's actually a pretty big deal in such a small package. Typically speaking, you're not going to see 6 rounds in this small of a firearm. The K6s had a very great feel to it. Whenever you were trying to acquire your sight picture and get where you needed to be, these sights were lined up perfectly. I really like the fact that these sights have some flexibility to them. It's not just a standard set of hard sights. I found that it was so easy to pick up that front sight as far as acquiring that sight picture and getting on point where you want to be quick, easily, and staying there during the round of fire. With such a small frame packing such a big punch with that .357 round, I found that the tackiness of that Crimson Trace grip was actually very effective. You never felt like this thing was about to bounce out of your hand or fly out of your hand because the grips might have been too slick. That rubber finish was perfect for keeping and maintaining a really effective grip on the K6s. So of course it'll shoot, and we knew that. We expected that. It's a revolver, for God's sakes. But how accurate is it? We stepped off a target at 6 yards. Again, we're talking about a self-defense pistol here, not a sniper pistol. This thing performed remarkably well. Again, you have to consider the shooter, me. I'm not exactly some kind of a sniper, but this thing here did exactly what I wanted it to do.
Of course, the question is always, no matter what kind of firearm it is, how accurate is it? I will take these 6 shots right in here. Again, you have to understand, you're not talking about some kind of tactical sharpshooting wizard here. I'm just a regular guy. And with ease, with a 2-inch barrel on that Kimber K6s, I was able at 6 yards, we're only 6 yards here, again, we're talking about a self-defense firearm here, to keep all 6 rounds within 2 inches. As you see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you're counting the diamond here in the middle as your bullseye, I was able to put 6 of them on the bullseye with only 1 falling outside of it. As far as a self-defense round, I think this is perfectly acceptable, and I believe a lot of people out there shooting a 2-inch revolver would probably take these shots as well.
Folks, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I can find good in just about anything, but if I had to find one thing that was negative about this Kimber K6s, it would be the price. With an MSRP of $899, that's a little bit steep for a small concealable revolver and for a revolver period. But I can understand that they're going to move a lot of these, and they'll probably get that. Now, granted, the MSRP is not going to be the asking price. You're going to find these retail in the range of between $700 and $800. But nevertheless, it's still a lot of money, and that's the only negative I can find. However, the quality in this thing, it's there. It does warrant a higher price point.
Friends, that's going to do it for our review on the Kimber K6s. What a beautiful, fine working revolver, but it's a beautiful revolver on top of that. All the lines are so nice and clean. Again, that trigger, what a crisp break that thing is. Beautiful firearm, easy to handle, easy to shoot. Nice round with a .357 Magnum. I suggest you get your hands on one, try to fire one, and you may actually find yourself going home with one, because me not being a revolver guy, I gotta say, this one's going home with me.